And this time, what I'm going to talk about is so not roughly saying, but roughly saying. So what I'm going to talk about is ideal figure or ideal. So I not ideal manner, but ideal figure of human society, which is what I'd actually talk about this time. So as I have told you, I told you that what I was going to talk about is was on ideal figure or ideal. So it's fine to understand that So what I'm going to talk about is one of the features ideal human societies are required to have anyway. So it's fine to understand in such a manner. But actually, so what I'm going to talk about is so entire human society or every human society may 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 require generally or on regular basis. So first of all, so this is a kind of a so I'd like you to tolerate so my manner of speaking English language as one of the as one of the branches of diversities anyway. So I have told you something weird, but actually, so I know that, and but anyway, so I'd like you to accept this manner of speaking English language, including my bad pronunciation, and why I'm really bad at pronouncing English language is I'm a non-native speaker of English language, so if you are frequent listeners or if you are frequent listeners or if you are a frequent listener of my podcast, so you have already I think you have already understood where I live in and which nationality I have and including so my mother tongue if you are frequent listen if you are frequent listener of my podcast you have already known that no my mother tongue and by the way, so my mother tongue is Japanese language, and I live in Japan, and so East Asian languages, and to start with, so my mother tongue is quite different from English language, which is one of the Western European languages. So if British people do not recognize, or if British people do not find themselves European people, so in the perspective of an East Asian person, the British people are European people, and so so if they find truly European peoples are so those living in European continent or Eurasia or the western part of the Eurasian continent. So it's fine it's fine that it's fine that British people understand themselves in such a manner. But actually, so in the perspective of, for example, the perspectives of general colored people living in the countries or the states of colored people. So British people are white people and they are European people anyway. So which is why so English is one of the European languages, and but actually, anyway, so what I speak, or the language I speak every day, or I natively use is an East Asian language incorporating Chinese languages, and which is one of the reasons why I find English language quite difficult. Quite, I don't think English is so difficult, but actually, so I don't think English is really difficult, but actually, so compared with or comparing my proficiency of English language with other European people using English language frequently, so my proficiency must be lower than those of so for example. Germanic people, like German people or Nordic peoples. Anyway, so but actually anyway, so this is a digression. So digressions are necessary for my practice of speaking English language. And this time is wait a moment, please. I'm going to introduce the title and the conclusion of this episode. So The title is Did you know that the color of the moon was yellow? And the conclusion is human societies need to have disabled people work. Needs to have disabled people work, and those disabled people should have something they can do. And I have stumbled, which is why so I'm going to tell you only the conclusion of this episode. So the human societies, because the conclusion is human societies need to have disabled people work. Those disabled people should have something they can do. So there are some people who say that disabled people do not have to work because they play a role or roles as an impedance or as impedance is preventing normal people from working correctly. But actually, so I think that type of idea is, or those types of ideas are wrong, and that is because so you know imagining the decrease of the population of for example each developed country anyway. So for example my country is, I think is a typical example, and so the population of this country decreases every year, and or the how should I say the speed or anyway the speed of the decline is really steep or really fast. This country has a decreasing population, decreasing really fast or really rapidly anyway. So thinking about such a rapid decrease of the population of my country, so this is, for example, it's possible to say that my country needs to have even disabled people work. So I'm not, of course, so that is not to say that ordinary people do not have to work. So I'm not saying such a thing, and including elderly people, or including older people, for example, so it's 60 people at the ages of 60s or 70s or 80s or 90s. If those maybe such people are in most cases such people are retired people, but actually my idea is that so as long as people can work, they have to work, which is what I think. So applying this idea, or applying this principle to every people, or to every guest. So even disabled people have to work, which is what I like you to know. So many people find disabled people really, for example, poor people or miserable people. But actually, so even disabled people, for example, so if there is a disabled person with a how should I say, without eyesight, for example, so that disabled person can't see anything. Well, eyesight challenge. The eyesight challenge is a suitable word in this case actually. So please imagine such a case. But actually, so that person can listen. That person can listen, and that person can speak out human language anyway. So whatever language that that is eyesight challenged person can speak anyway. Whatever language that eyesight challenged person can speak out natively. Anyway, it's fine it's fine that that eyesight that disabled person speak Japanese language or English language or still other languages like German language or French language or some other languages. But actually, so that eyesight challenged person, or that disabled person who can see anything can do everything other than seeing, which means so of course so if I lose my eyesight, that is going to be really a big problem. But actually, so I still can hear anything, and I still can speak out my own mother tongue, and I can speak out English language like this. But actually, so you know, what I'd like you to know is that, language, so there are many, although there are many disabled people, they can do something other than the disabled part. For example, in the case of eyesight challenged person or the eyesight challenged people generally, so they can hear or they can see anything, but actually they can hear, and which is why, so for example, they can create music, or they can create songs. It's possible to create songs, for example. So of course, eyesight challenged people may not be able to write some drawings or pictures or paints, but actually they can handle human languages, which is why, so for example, interpreters can be, or becoming interpreters may be fine, which is what they'd like you to and language. So there are some people, for example, so in the case of so how should I say, the sports players of Paralympics, in the case of the sports players of Paralympics and Paralympic anyway. So they have so higher skills of exercises. I don't know if this wording is correct or not, but actually so in the case of some disabled people who can participate in Paralympic, for example. So I think they can run faster than I do. So I don't have any so disabled part, except for maybe so I sometimes in car I have temporarily forgot the name of that disease. So dissociative identity disorder. So sometimes I encounter that disease, but actually, so I have not been diagnosed to that with that disease, but actually, anyway, so you know apart from that, so I'm the same as an ordinary person or ordinary people. So thinking about which, so I'm normal, and so in the case of those sports players with those disabled sports players, or those sports players with something disabled. So but actually, in some cases, they can run faster, or they can jog faster, or they may have better eyesight than I do, and they may have better audible abilities than I do. So people are, so there is a person who had said that people are gradation, or people are here actually. So the point was just in what he said is that, so so people have some advantages, and people have disadvantages, and so, but there are some people who are diagnosed that they were the patients of ADHD. So I don't know the meaning of the abbreviation, but actually, some people are the patients of such a disease. But actually, so there are among those patients, some people have become successors, and some of them have really higher amounts, or higher amounts of wealth than I do, or than ordinary people do. So thinking about which, so if you have if you are disabled person, or if you are disabled people, there must be something you can do, and like which, so if you are ordinary people, so if you are ordinary people, and ordinary people do nothing in the course of their own lives, and which means, so they can do many things, but actually, so ordinary people do not succeed. So considering which, so it's possible to say that, so all ordinary people are born to, or ordinary people have been born to be to be no or to be meaningless. It's possible to say so. So I'm not saying that my life is a meaningless one, but actually, so I don't think I don't like to make my life meaningless. So, but actually, so it's possible to say that so in the case of ordinary people, they do nothing except for so consuming costs of lives, and of course they work, but actually so they, their performances are on ordinary levels. So since so considering which and there are few normal people who can become, for example, the presidents of huge companies. But actually, so like which, and so to start roughly saying, and to start with, so so ordinary people and disabled people have similar performances, and to start with, people are the so in such a case, God created human beings equally. So it's possible to say so. Which is what I think, and which is why so ordinary people work, which means so disabled people should work, and which means so elderly retired people should work if they can work, if they can work as long as possible. Yeah. So which is why so I think it's possible to to make the most of your just the human society you belong to, and so which is how your society may be able to become better or become richer, which is what I think. And so I'm going to tell you the title and the conclusion of this episode, and the title is, did you know that the color of the moon was yellow? And the conclusion is, human societies need to have disabled people work. Those disabled people should have something they can do. And why I wrote this title is that there's a disease, or there's a name of a disease, of an anyway disease named color blindness. And I don't know the details, but actually, so there's a famous Japanese entrepreneur, currently he's a YouTuber whose name is Hiroyuki Nishimura, and he said he's a color blindness. I don't know whether his color blindness is severe one or not, but actually, so anyway, so the, anyway, if he has color blindness, but actually he's really he's considerably a rich person, and so also he may not recognize the color of moon. If he doesn't recognize the color of moon, but actually he has a lot of money, and to start with, the color of moon is not so important actually, and so. And by the way, so Japanese people, Japanese children draw the sun in the color of red and whilst. So in the case of children in West European countries, or white children draw or paint the sun in the color of yellow or white. There is such a difference, but actually, so what I wanted to tell you with this instance is that, so the color of sun is not so important, and so correctly saying the color of sun is white or yellow, and which means so Western children or white children are correct, but actually it's fine to draw the picture of the sun in the color of red. Japanese children write or draw in that manner. But actually, so it's all right. The color of the sun is not important unless you are professional. So you are experts in the sun. So anyway, but actually, you think so. Considering that the sun is burning, so it's possible to say that the correct answer of the color of the sun is red. It's possible to say that the correct color of the sun is red. Anyway, but actually, this is far from important. Well, this is not important anyway. So and which is in this manner. So I'm thinking of ending this episode. So that's it. Thank you very much for everything. See you. And by the way, so whatever impaired parts you have in your bodies, so to start with, if you have listened to this podcast or to this episode of my podcast, I think you have already been encouraged, or you have already been you become brave. And that is because I'm an ordinary person, or I'm a normal person, but and I can't speak English well. So with this way, so and if you speak English better than I do, so I think you have be so you have become braver, and you have become more encouraged about about speaking English language. And I'm an ordinary person but can't speak English well. So which is why like this, I'd like you to see, I'd like you to find your lives positively, or positive ones.